All right, welcome back. It's still Rapid John right here, and we are going to be looking at some stories that caught our attention, some big stories, and some not pleasant, others are actually pleasant, and my guest is here to, talk about the stories with us right here. I still have Dr. Sebastian Agu. It's so great to have you again.
Thank you.
All right. So one of the stories that caught our attention right here is the story of the First Lady whose convoy reportedly kills a 7-year-old girl in Ondo State. Now, according to the report, the vehicle in the convoy of Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has allegedly killed a 7-year-old girl, Saratu Lawal, in Akure, Ondo State, where she was there for the Renewed Hope event, where she has been going from different states and aim at supporting women and girls. And part of the initiative included distributing over 10,000 professional kits, and that was when this happened in the convoy. How did this happen, and how is it going to be addressed and solved? Seeing that, I mean, it's something that is not expected.
Well, this is a regular occurrence. We've been having accidents with a number of accidents with convoys. You know, out of security or some other reason, the convoys don't ever move slowly. There is overspeed, and you would say a little bit of recklessness. I do not, at this point, I cannot say who should be held culpable. You mentioned the First Lady, but then there's a driver.
Okay.
And there's a driver and all that. So the normal thing is there's always some form of compensation thereafter. They are invited. The family of the victims are invited. They are talked to. Some form of compensation is made available. Because I'm not aware that convoys are insured such that in the event of this type of accidents, it becomes directly government responsibility as the owner of the convoys. So I imagine there will be some discussion with the family of the victim or victims.
Okay.
And that seems to be what happens. I mean, historically.
Okay. Well, we hope that this time around there'll be more emotion put into it.
There has to be a little more care. If you have ever driven in a convoy, you understand that many times they are going late for an event. That is one reason. There is also the need to speed. It would appear that one of the characters of convoy driving is that you have to speed. It doesn't have to be. But then across the world, you see that there is these accidents. It's been recurrent, but in the last couple of years, it hasn't happened with the regularity that you saw it in the past. But generally, they quietly handle they meet the families of the deceased or those who are affected by the accident and give them some form of compensation, succor.
Okay. Another interesting story that is out there on papers this morning is the fact that according to the Minister of Power, he is saying that 150 million Nigerians now have access to adequate electricity. I mean, by our last count, we hear that our population is about 200 something million, and he is saying
some have taken it up to 220.
Yeah, and now he's saying 150 million, which is more than half of the country's population have access to adequate electricity. Is this a good? Is this correct?
I doubt if that is correct. If you look at our status on the Human Development Index, which is an aggregation of various indices, infrastructural, housing, and all that, I think 150 should be like a target. 150 million ought not to be the status. at this moment. We're talking of the general crisis in the electricity sector, and arising from, like we discussed on Monday, the supply demand. That is why there's movement also into the green energy subsector or option. So 150, there has been rapid progress in the area. There's no question about that in terms of.
Maybe because we have lots of outages.
There's outage because
Down.
you see, the politicians have worked a lot, especially both nationally. When you're talking of constituency projects, a lot of them are directed in those areas. Those are the areas that electorally are quick hits. That is, you generate access to electricity for your constituents, and you can talk to them better. So it's an area where they have focused in their constituency project arena. And so, but with 150, there has been a lot of success in that area. Constituency projects targeting electricity, targeting bridges, targeting boreholes. So, but 150 is, I think, on the...
Maybe you should be saying 20 million.
No, 20 is on the low side. It's way over that. So the access has been quite incremental.
This is the same man who was it few days ago on the headlines. He still said
the demand is there, the supply is there, but the rural consumption profile is not so much in the area of high consumption figures. They're talking about simple lighting. So it's not like your own demand here where there's emphasis about, having access to air conditioners and all that. You're talking about simple lighting where you can connect your phone and not so much for cooking. So the access is actually way above the 20 million you're talking about. And it has been incremental, there's no question about it. Okay. But then 150 may appear quite suspiciously high.
All right. So some persons might want to disagree, looking at the fact that this was the same man who was complaining a few days ago on the headlines that they inherited.
Take note that a lot of this rural access is such that the electricity companies are unable to, generate revenue from them because some of the places are way out, very remote. But then the politicians reach them through the constituency projects. When you have to get them to pay, they have various ways of scaring you off and all that. So there's a lot of leakage in revenue accruing to the GENCOs from these remote locations where the politicians reach them as remote as they are through their constituency projects, especially assemblymen. But then when it comes to pulling out revenue, so I think 20 million is way too low, and 150 is suspiciously high.
Okay. I mean, now that we're even talking about electricity, let me use the opportunity to reach out to the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company. That there's some places in Abuja that they are struggling with lights, despite being told that they are in Band B, they still don't have lights. It's almost like you're rationing.
But then the bills come, and the bills are very high.
Exactly. They are in Band B, the bills are coming in, but they don't see lights.
Many times they are not metered, so it's estimation.
Yes.
And the GENCO still write the bills down and say, look, this is how much we're supplying, but we are not being paid.
I just hope that the relevant authorities will look into that, because they are really complaining. We've got several complaints, especially places in Lugbe. They don't have lights. They just build them, but no lights. Sometimes they can stay 3 days, no lights.
That's what I'm saying. The access to power has been is generated. They do not have regular supply. It's not active. But then the bills come. Most of it estimated.
That's terrible. Imagine not having lights. It's like you're cut off from the world. And now, petrol is high. So how do you even cope? You can't even afford to blow your gen like how you would do before when petrol was cheaper. All right, let's now move on to something that is a bit political. On 2027, the Premium Times is reporting that Ganduje is saying that Abuja too important to be left in the hands of opposition.
Yeah, well, Abuja was the locality where you had a lot of controversy the last time around. So, for politicians who are trying to resolve electoral problems like the chairman, you expect that they're supposed to target Abuja and ensure that you don't have the controversies around. You know, you understand that there was a lot of controversies here that went right down to the Supreme Court. You want to forestall those and ensure that you. But this expectation or the strategic importance of Abuja is not limited to Abuja. It ought to be. Uh, of course, there's a lot of progress here in Abuja. I think whatever shortcomings you may have about Wike's verbal output, you have to acknowledge that it has done a lot on the ground, and the APC, Ganduje, can leverage on that and ensure that they don't have any embarrassing output here in Abuja again.
And also, just to also let you to follow up on that, the leadership newspaper is also reporting that Amax chairman's defection, over 60% of FCT now in APC. Whew, that's what is being reported right there on the leadership.
So you're hoping that that should translate into better electoral showing.
Oh well,
it's not automatic. You know, like I said earlier, whatever shortcomings you have around Wike, especially his verbal output, you have to acknowledge that he has done within this term, one and a half to 2 years. He's done a lot, changing the face of Abuja, especially roads and all that. And I think
but he's been
beyond beyond the issues of the fortunes around so-called fortunes around you know, big PDP big shots moving over to the APC. They can leverage on some of its performance.
Well, some Nigerian, some people in Abuja are also saying that, well, you are focusing on what once people come into the city, what they are going to see, but you're not going into the interior. For example, some persons, I've had a lot of people complain that, okay, a road that was already good, you had to go redo the road again. Well, maybe he had his reasons, or maybe he wanted it to be up to standard. But then there are still places in Abuja that don't even have good roads.
No, there's
and he's not going into those places.
That is true. He has done a lot of resurfacing. And he still has a year or so. He's listening to some of the outstanding challenges that are there, which include what you're talking about. So if, with a little bit of sensitivity, he should go into these other outstanding areas in the, because it's true, there is still a lot of work outstanding in these communities, in various areas. Given his, the successes he has achieved in the last couple of, in 1.5 years, that should spur him. He should see it as an opportunity to leverage on this and move on, you know, into those outstanding areas. There's no way he can achieve all of that. Popular expectation within the outstanding period. The people seem to understand that he's doing his utmost.
All right. We do hope that he will listen to our complaints and then go into the interior and do some, you know, make it beautiful, like the capital city will look like. All right. So there, the nations and of course the Punch, and as well as, yes, as at this morning, news broke out on the papers that kidnappers of the naval officer have been nabbed in Abuja. And the Punch is also reporting that there were three of them, arrested over abduction of naval officer in Abuja. I'm sure these are some of the stories that some persons would be so interested to, you know, look at. As at yesterday, it was 2 suspects, but as at this morning, it has been updated that it's 3 suspects arrested for the abduction of the naval officer. Well, we want to see that.
Yeah, this, you know, most of the news around security is always in the negative. So, once in a while, it's
but
good
this
to
is
have.
positive.
Yeah, this is positive, and it's good that the papers also capture the positives, because there's a lot of progress, there's a lot of effort. The security the security challenges are daunting, no doubt about it. But there's a lot of positive that comes out. So it's good that the papers are emphasizing balance. You know, while they are reporting on killings in Plateau and all that, they are also saying, look, here there are successes. That incentivizes the police and security agencies to move even further. So it's not all bad, there's some good.
Moving away from this, or let's look at some stories that, what you might want to call some human interest stories. We hear that there's been found, you know, abandoned newborn found in a refuse site. Oof, this is sad. I mean, this is not the first time we're having stories like this. This is a Tribune, it's reporting this. A site where newborns actually abandoned have been found. We do hope that the relevant authorities would trace where these things are coming from, because these are the first time we're hearing stories of babies abandoned.
Maybe they are not reported. There are a lot of people, I mean, the children are being abandoned. It's not just newly born, you know. The economic difficulties that, you know, parents go into. There's a lot of abandonment, especially across the country, especially in the far north. You're unable to cope with the challenges of child upbringing, so you quietly let them off onto the street. It's been there. The figures are not going down, you know, mostly because of the economic difficulties. You know, the cost of childbearing, pushing them to school. So it's not unusual that in this case you have a newly born child.
Okay, so this question is a question that I always like to ask when it has to do with babies are being abandoned, children being abandoned, and most times the guests will always say, oh, economic situation, and that is why these are happening.
Why did you go into it? I think that's where you're going into.
No, that's not what I'm going to say, even though that's part of it. I'm not going to blame parents for wanting to conceive or have children. I mean, children are gifts from God, right? But we as humans should know when to bring these gifts that God has given us to life, you know, into the earth, looking at how the situation are. I spoke to a lot of people before, you know, not even 2025, from 2020, when I was out there on the field talking to people. In fact, some of them would tell me, Cynthia, there is no way I'm going to bring a child into a world where I don't even know. Look, we're wearing nose masks. I don't even know where we're going from here. I cannot, and these are coming from men. They say, I cannot allow my wife to get pregnant when we don't even know where the world is going in. We don't know where we'll be in the next 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. If this will continue, we can't do that. And then, but we still have people who, no matter how it looks like, whether people are jumping and falling from skyscrapers, they are still giving birth. Whether they can't even feed with below $1 per day, they are still giving birth. Now my question is this: can we have the Ministry of Health do something about it? Maybe make family planning compulsory for these people. Aside from education, family planning compulsory for these people. If no matter what, I don't want us to say, oh, let's employ what was done in India, according to history, where you know, the son of Gandhi had to instruct that, oh, all the men should. We can't go into that.
Vasectomy.
Yes, we can't go into that. That's against your human rights. We can't even go into that.
Morality decide India.
Exactly, we can't even go into that. But can the Ministry of Health put out a campaign to say, okay, because we have a lot of people.
The campaigns are there. They have never.
And make it compulsory.
Compulsory, you're legislating towards that. If you want to make it compulsory, how do you design a law that says, no, before you have a child, you must give us assurance that you have prepared, your capacity must be tied to childbearing. It's difficult. It's something that you can educate people around. I'm not aware of legislation anywhere in the world. Of course, the Chinese, at a certain point,
they did something like that.
They did something like that. They said, look, you can only be, they're talking of ceilings. You can only have one. One. You know, there's the new flexibility. They are realizing that they need newborns all over the West.
But it helped them at that time.
Yeah, it helped them. They're realizing that there's a need for new babies. And there should be an increase in here in Nigeria. You're talking of educating people on the need to, but you know there's a link between poverty and increased babies too. That is, the poorer, the more the children.
Which is not supposed to be. I mean, you see the rich having two.
The rich
three
are
max.
more they are more careful. They are more circumspective. They want to respect the type of law you are contemplating. So they do not offload too much. They regulate it. Then they have the capacity also. If you have their wife is pregnant, they can say, no, look, we're having a ceiling. We agreed on this ceiling and all that. For the poor, they don't have that financial capacity to have an abortion in the midst of,
We're not even talking about abortion. We're talking about.
But it's related. It's related because at a certain point, you can say you accidentally, your wife gets pregnant, and so you must have the capacity to exercise that option. If you're poor, you can't do that. So there's that relationship between poverty and increased child bearing figures. I wish I would give you the exact figures or the percentages.
If we have them, why not?
No, I can't. I don't have them here.
Okay.
But it's there. So if you go to poorer parts of the city, you see more children. The rich are more careful. They are more circumspective. They take their time. They understand that this comes with costs over time.
All right. In the old days, people would say, oh, we are having more children because they help in the farmlands. They help in making the work easier. But now,
the economic value.
How many people have the farmlands?
Agricultural value, yeah.
We can't even feed. And you see, either these kids are out there on the street begging, or you're sending your kids to go live with an auntie who's going to... There's a high tendency to be maltreated and treated badly, by these relation, cousin, or as house helps. And then you say, okay, I'm not going to send my kids. But then we have those who are abandoning their babies, and you can't even feed properly as a family. But yet you are still reproducing. God gives children, but he also gave us wisdom.
Well, there's, for, like you said earlier, in the past, if you had more children, you have more farms. I mean, you have more hands on the farm. That translates into economic value. If you have more children, there's more respect too within the rural community.
World?
Not now.
Okay.
But old habits die hard. So it's not that. These habits which are traditional have gone off entirely. If you had more children, you are seen to have, bigger presence in the ranking within the community. It's no longer there, but it hasn't died entirely.
Okay, well, you're very correct. Yeah, it's not. I think maybe I think look at it from the angle of, for some men, the more they have a sort of pride for them, even when they cannot take care of these children.
They start, passing them out to go and stay with my relation, stay with
your relations are tired. Your relations are tired.
There is fatigue, but then at the same time, the big man is in the town. He understands that he needs house help and all that. They leverage on them. They go back and fetch these kids from households that have excess numbers. And then, so that's why I said it's not died entirely.
I think that the relevant authorities, there are a lot of policies that need to be put in place. I mean, we go to advanced country, we see people who are brought in as caregivers or house helps or whatever, and they end so well. They're treated very well. You don't treat them anyhow. But here in Nigeria, you just go and carry your uncles or someone to come stay with you, and you don't treat them exactly as good as you would treat. True. And so we need to put this. First of all, we need to have a good birth control first of all, policies, even though you might say, okay, it's quite difficult to achieve that, but let us intensify our level of campaign and education.
The birth control strategies you used in India, especially during that brief interregnum of Morarji Desai in the 70s, emphasizing vasectomy to pull down population figure, it led directly to his defeat in, the election. So
he wasn't even liked.
across the West now, they are understanding that there's a need to up the numbers in the area of childbearing, more babies and all that. From your Trump in the U.S. and across even the West.
Even Trump has hinted on vasectomy as well. I mean, in the U.S. right now, a lot of men are seeing the need for them to even do this.
No, not vasectomy. They want more babies. There's a need to. They understand that they need more babies, and most families.
But there are people who don't want more babies because, according to
the campaign may soon be on for, men to embrace women to embrace.
Well, that's not going to work. It won't be possible because right now, according to some numbers that I saw on today's Friday, on Wednesday, there are lots of people in the U.S. and across other parts, other countries that are not willing to have babies because they feel like, according to the research, that children are stressful to them, and so they do not want to have children.
It may come down to social security. The government may say, look, here are the incentives. If you have this number, this is what you have. And then some of the fears we are exercising here, there are safety nets that take care of them.
I mean, with this incentive come till the child is 18 years?
If you have children on the back of these new incentives we are erecting, they'll go through, they'll have free health, free education at that level. And then you see that
Would they have free feeding in the house?
They may give them some form of...
would they also carry the child and go when
that will come in a package. That will come in a package. It's easier. I'm trying to say that it's easier to encourage people to have kids than to discourage them. Say the Chinese option was numbers. You can't have more than this. In the case of Morarji Desai, it was vasectomy, at times forced. Even the vasectomy, take note that they put some price. If you willingly came up, you will carry it out, you won't have kids again, you'll be given this.
It was disastrous because some persons lost their life. A lot of men lost their life. Anyway, thank you so much, Dr. Sebastian, for joining me to have the review this beautiful morning. We've really shared a lot, and it's the last day of the week. And so thank you so much. At least now you can go and enjoy your Easter and your weekend. High five. All right.
Thank you.
We're moving up next to sports with Ival, and don't forget that by 8:30 it'll be time for Eastern Circle with Daisy and Michael. I will see you again at about 9 a.m. Don't go anywhere.